Hello everyone, welcome back to the Benchwarmers Podcast. In this week's episode, I'm delighted to be joined by Barnet midfielder Anthony Wordsworth. Anthony, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm also good, thank you. So I think we'll just crack straight on with this. I'm going to start off with where you started your career, which was at Colchester United. Before I start, I was wondering, are you a Colchester United fan or are you an Arsenal fan, as we'll talk about later?
No, I'm a diehard Arsenal fan. Growing up in Camden, always went to watch Arsenal as a kid. But obviously, coming through the youth team at Colchester, I did really obviously have feelings for the club.
What's your thoughts on the Martin Odegaard signing for Arsenal?
Pleased with it, to be fair. I know a few years ago he was flying. He's been quiet for the last few years. We've not really heard too much about him, but hopefully come to Arsenal, rediscover his form.
So we'll get on with Colchester and then we'll come into a few Arsenal things a bit later. But coming through the Colchester United the youth academy, obviously you was able to get to the first team, but is there any other players who you played alongside during the academy who went on to do very well for himself?
I think the only one who really had a career was Milito, who, when I was in the youth team with him, I think Manchester United were interested in signing him. He was obviously playing for the England under-20s. I think he went to the World Cup with them, and they were quite successful. And he played for Barnet previously to where I am now, and we're still good friends, yeah.
Yeah, okay. In previous interviews that I've done where players have come through a youth academy of an EFL club, they've had to get the coaching badges at the club. So have you got any coaching badges?
I'm actually in the process of doing mine right now. Obviously, with COVID, it's killed it a little bit. So we're doing a lot of Zoom calls, and when we're able to get back outside and do some practical sessions, we'll be finishing up in hopefully in summer.
Yeah. Are you interested in becoming a coach then, or a manager when your career eventually just comes to an
end? To be honest, I never really wanted to get into coaching or anything like that, but you play for a couple of bad managers and think you can do a better job. So
yeah,
you end up looking into it, which now at my age I am looking into it. Yeah, it's something I'm interested in. Sorry, that's my alarm. Set my alarm to come and talk to you.
Yeah, of course you were offered your first professional contract as well at Colchester. As a youngster who's been at the club for quite a while, you've made it into the first team. How good of a feeling is it to get offered your professional contract?
Yeah, it was good. I knew after my first season, the club had just got promoted to the Championship, so I thought it was going to be quite difficult to get a pro contract. I thought I might be better off had the club stayed in League One, but I remember pre-season going away working really hard and having a good season in the team. And Gabriel Ramsey it was who offered me my first professional contract, and I didn't have to wait too long to get a few first team games.
Yeah. And obviously the club did eventually get relegated back to League One. It was in the 2008-9 season you sort of really came into the first team. You were offered a 3-year contract right at the start of that because you were the top scorer in pre-season. As a youngster who obviously you might have been told you had a bigger part to play in the club, how good a feeling was it to get a 3-year extension?
Yeah, it was big. I mean, that summer I went away and worked really hard. I worked on my strength. I was doing all sorts of training, and then just come back in pre-season, I was flying. Geraint Williams was playing me on the left wing time, and we had some good players, Mark Yates in particular, who was, I think I scored 9 goals in pre-season. He set up 7, so
yeah.
I have to thank him a little bit for that. But yeah, that was a pre-season where I just felt like everything was just going right for me.
Yeah. Who would you say going into that pre-season then, into that season? I'm not sure if you'll be able to remember, obviously, it was quite a while ago now. Was there a certain player in that Colchester squad, because obviously you'd just been relegated to League One, who you felt could still be playing at the Championship level?
Oh, there was loads. I mean, Johnny Jackson was still there. He was obviously left Colchester and ended up doing good things at Charlton. Mark Yates went to Middlesbrough. We had the likes of Clive Plough. We had some really good players there who, for my first season, to have them around me helped me massively. I mean, I think I scored quite a few goals in that season. So a lot of them were tap-ins. Often the big men giving me good chances.
Yeah, then obviously with Colchester just been relegated, do you feel like there's more pressure on the club to maybe have a good season, bounce straight back than for your first year?
Yeah, definitely. I think had we not got relegated, I might not have got the opportunity. But yeah, the club going down was an opportunity for like myself, Mehdi Alito. There was a few others coming through at the time who didn't quite go on to make it as such. But going down definitely gave us a more of an opportunity to get into the first team.
Yeah. What were your thoughts, Mate, then after the sacking of Geraint Williams? Because obviously, whilst it meant Paul Lambert was going to come in, he'd given you your first professional contract, your first start, you knew 3-year contract, I believe. So what were your thoughts when he left the club?
Yeah, I was gutted really because I was just started playing really. He put me in the team, and I thought if a new manager comes in, I'm not going to get to play as much, which happened really under Paul Lambert. He come in, I played at the start. I mean, I scored 2 in his first game at Cheltenham away. That was my first 2 goals of my professional career. And then after that, I didn't really seem to play much. I mean, I scored the goal at Southend in the Essex derby, but apart from that, I was in and out, mostly on the bench, and I didn't really crack on until AD Boothroyd had come in. That was what changed everything for me.
Yeah, obviously, when you, like you said, Paul Lambert came in, you got your first 2 goals for the club, first 2 goals under a new manager. How much of a confidence boost was that for you as a young player?
Yeah, massive. I mean, Joe Dunn was in temporary charge that day with Kit Simons. He was obviously my youth team manager, so I thought it hadn't been confirmed that Paul Lambert was actually the manager yet. So to be honest, I was just running around trying to get Joe Dunn the job, obviously, because he was my youth team manager and someone I was really close to. So to see Paul Lambert come in after that, I was a bit disappointed to see Joe go back with the youth team.
Yeah. Obviously, what was your relationship like with Paul Lambert then?
It was interesting. I mean, I remember he used to fine me quite a lot for doing some stupid stuff. He had a Maserati at the time, and I remember getting fined and putting the money in an envelope and writing petrol money for his Maserati on the envelope. But I think he appreciated my sense of humour, but he sort of wanted to bring me down a few pegs to let myself know that you can't speak to your manager like that.
Yeah. And like you said, sorry, I just completely messed it up there. I've written the wrong thing. You've obviously been throughout your career, you've been described as a bit of a free kick specialist. Do you have any thoughts towards that?
No, I mean, when you get the programs before games, you have a little look through it, and it always says that. But free kicks are free kicks. Some of them go in. I've probably hit thousands over the bar or a stadium. So, but I think just it's the technique. I do practice them, to be fair. So people appreciate technique, and it's always nice to hear.
Yeah, and in the 2011-2012 season, you was Colchester's top scorer for the club. Yeah, where you netted 13 goals. Obviously, that's not really an expected record for a midfielder. At that point, because obviously I'd imagine you were still quite young, you just scored 13 goals for a League One club in central midfield or left midfield or wherever you were playing. Was there any thoughts in your mind about maybe trying to go a step higher?
To be honest, yeah, there was a little bit of interest from some clubs. I think that might have been around the time Bournemouth put a bid in for me. I think Bournemouth were at that stage where they were just trying to get a team together to really kick on. And at the time, looking back now, obviously massive regret. I should have maybe pursued it. Because I do look at the likes of Harry Arter and the players that went there around that time and how their careers turned out. So that one, yeah, is a tough one to swallow, to be honest.
Yeah, and then next up, a bid from Ipswich did come in, which eventually did move on to there. With the fee of that bid being £100,000, which is obviously a 6-figure bid, did you feel more pressure as a player with a hefty transfer sum?
No, I didn't feel no pressure by the transfer fee. I mean, for a club that size, that's peanuts, really. Or for a championship team, I did feel pressure though to be honest, going into the bigger stadium and the level of football, I felt everyone was just much fitter and stronger. And at times, I did struggle a little bit. Not with the ability wise, just with the confidence. I mean, I didn't have the greatest of starts, getting injured on my debut, and from there it was an uphill battle.
Yeah. How did you find the step up to the Championship then?
I mean, it was different. I felt like it was definitely the right move for me at the time, because I felt I was one of the better players in League One. Like you say, scoring goals frequently and finding it easy at League One level. So to go to the Championship, I thought it was the right move for myself, but I just felt maybe Ipswich probably wasn't the right club for me at the time.
Yeah. I think I remember right in thinking it was Mick McCarthy that was in charge when you joined.
Yeah, McCarthy, and they was in a relegation battle. I went in January and it was a relegation scrap, and had I have gone at the start of the season, I think things might have been different.
What was it like working under Mick McCarthy? Obviously, he's just moved back to England, I think, to Cardiff, I think it is. But obviously, he's a well-known manager and became a bit of a Ipswich legend, sort of. So, what was it like working under him in his first year?
Yeah, to be honest, it was really good. I like Mick, and you don't normally hear a player say that about a manager when they've not really played much under them. So I think that says everything you need to know about Mick. He's an honest man, day to day, does what he can to help you out. He's straightforward. You know what he wants. You got clarity there with Mick. So to work under him was a good experience, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and next up, you sort of moved on in your career at Ipswich because you had a few loan spells. As a player who maybe moved to the Championship, you hadn't really had too many opportunities for the club. What made you want to go out on loan, specifically to Rotherham and then obviously Crawley, but what made you want to go out on loan?
I think at the time there was, I think when I signed for Ipswich, Mick always told me that, I think it was Cole Scouse and Luke Hyam at the time, who were his two midfielders. Even coming in, he was honest with me and said, I probably won't play until one of them get injured, which was the case. Most of the times I played was because one of them two got injured. So after a little while, that as a player, you can imagine that gets a bit frustrating. And when Rotherham come in for me, who were higher than Ipswich in the table in the Championship, I thought it was a good move for me. Which, to be honest, if you want to get onto that, turns out it wasn't.
Obviously you didn't get too many opportunities either at Rotherham. So what made you want to maybe drop down to League One then to Crawley? Or was it just a case of they were the ones who bid for you?
Yeah, no, I went to Rotherham and had a bit of a horrid time. Steve Evans was the manager at the time. We didn't really see eye to eye, fell out. Come back to Ipswich and then went straight back out to Crawley under Dean Saunders, which I had a really good time there, to be honest. At Crawley, I was in League One and unfortunately they got relegated, but I think my loan finished 3 or 4 games before the end of the season, so I couldn't actually play in the last 3 or 4 games, and I think we only needed 3 points to stay up, and unfortunately we couldn't get them.
Oh, God. And at Crawley as well, you're the striker in the form of Israel McLeod. He went on to score 21 goals that season, obviously very prolific. As a midfielder who will be creating most of the chances, how much more reassuring is it knowing that you've got a player like McLeod up top who could just score them for fun?
Yeah, he was on fire that season, and I think he was quite old, to be fair. I think he might have been 32, 33. He was scoring goals for fun. I think I did assist quite a lot of them. We did have a good connection, actually, and I was surprised to see that he didn't last too long after that, because he ended up retiring, I think, only a couple of seasons after that, which is crazy after scoring 21 goals in League One. Yeah.
And also, while at Crawley, you played I'm not sure if you played alongside him, but he was involved in the club. Matthias Pogba, who's the brother of Paul Pogba, obviously. Did he ever mention how his brother played for Juventus or Man United or wherever he was at that point?
Yeah. I think his brother was playing for. I think he was at Juventus at the time. Yeah, we used to have him on FaceTime all the time, driving him mad. On the way back from away games, he would always get him on the phone, FaceTime. He'd always be saying, "Well done." But he was good player, Matthias. A nice guy, a really nice guy. It's just shame he weren't as good as his brother. We might have stayed up.
Did you ever get any advice off Paul Pogba or anything like that then?
No, not at all. But I did, like I said, I used to room with Mateus, and I used to always have him on FaceTime, driving him mad, asking him stupid questions. But he was always nice and gave us the time of day.
Yeah. Next up, then you got released by Ipswich, of course, and you chose to move to Southend United, who obviously are rivals of Colchester, where you've come through, had a great career there. Was there any doubts in your mind about making the move to your club's, one of your old club's biggest rivals?
Not really, to be honest. I mean, Colchester see Ipswich as a rival, so I think I'd already upset. They see Ipswich. Yeah, Southend is obviously up to them, and they also see Ipswich as a massive rival, but obviously Ipswich don't really see Colchester as a rival. So once I went to Ipswich, I thought I might as well go to Southend. They're already upset with me anyway. And yeah, it's closer to home. It's the closest club to home for me. So yeah, in the end, it was right.
Yeah, and you played alongside Jack Payne, obviously went on to have a really good career, played for Huddersfield Town, Bradford City, currently at Lincoln. But obviously, when you got an attacking midfielder like him, he's quite small, he's dynamic on the ball. Does it help you maybe to play a bit more of a deeper role in that club if you have a player like Jack Payne who plays mainly that number 10 role?
Yeah, he's unbelievable talent, and it's a shame that he didn't kick on from Huddersfield, because I thought he was he had a really good season that season in the Championship. And yeah, with him on the pitch in that number 10 role, I trained with Swindon at the start of this season just to get my fitness up, and just watching him in training, even still, you can't get a ball off him. He's quick, he's strong. He's such a good player, and with a player like him in your team, you know he's capable of winning games.
Yeah. And alongside Jack Payne as well, you had Simon Cox in that team, who was the top goal scorer for Southend for the 2016-17 season and the 2017-18 season. So how much more reassuring to have a confident striker up there as well, like you've already talked about with Israel McLeod, Simon Cox in the Southend team as well. How much just better for midfield is it like you?
Yeah, with Cox, he's a proven goal scorer. He score a goal out of nothing. He could also play in a number 10 role. He can play up high. You could probably put him in centre midfield. He's obviously technically very good, strong, and deceivingly he's quite quick. I was lucky to get him when he first come to Southend, because a bit of a shock signing. Phil Brand that season pulled quite a few out of the bag. I mean, we had the likes of Michael Turner, Marco Fortune, Anton Ferdinand, Michael Kitely, just to name a few. So that season, yeah, it's disappointing we didn't go up. I think we missed out on the playoffs by a point, which was obviously sickening. But yeah, definitely underachieved that year. We should have gone up.
Yeah, and obviously as well, you just mentioned a lot of playing that Southend team. You've got Kitely, who played for Burnley. Fortuna's got loads of experience along with Anton Ferdinand. When you have that much experience available to you, some of the players who've been there and done it all, does it make that squad a much better, or do you prefer to play maybe in a younger squad where it might be better for fitness-wise?
I think we had a good balance that season. I mean, yeah, there's obviously a lot of older players there, but we had Ryan Leonard also, who probably does more running than I've ever seen. We had legs around us, so it was a good balance, and I think Phil Brand done a great job getting that squad together. I think it had everything. Like I say, it was how we didn't get promoted is it still makes me sick to this day. It's probably one of the biggest underachieving seasons I've ever had in football.
Yeah. And then obviously Phil Brown was your manager for, I think, 3 of those seasons before eventually he left and was replaced by Chris Powell. How good is your relationship with Phil Brown then?
Yeah, really good. I was gutted to see him go, to be honest. I think the season after that season where we just missed out on the playoffs, we were down the bottom, and yeah, I think the fans wanted him out. Same with Mick at Ipswich. I think be careful what you wish for, because you know they got rid of Phil Brown and everything started to go wrong, and now they may end up in the conference. And the same at Ipswich. They get rid of Mick McCarthy, called for his head, and obviously they're where they are now. So as fans, I think you got to be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, did Chris Powell play any part in your eventual departure from the club?
Yeah, he did, definitely. That was probably the reason why I left. He wanted, I think he come out and said he wanted a younger squad. I think when I spoke to him, it was um, he didn't want any characters. I'm going to use the word characters. He got rid of pretty much anyone who had anything to say. It's nothing personal. That's football. He wanted to sign some younger players, and unfortunately, it didn't work out for him.
Yeah. Are you starting then to see Southend's current position? Obviously, probably in the worst position they've ever been, to be honest.
Yeah, it's disappointing because that is a decent club and they got a great set of fans. And it's a shame. I think they'll stay up. I think they'll have enough to stay up. But yeah, they shouldn't be in that position in the first place.
Obviously, then you moved on eventually to AFC Wimbledon. Am I right in thinking Southend? No, sorry, I was just checking that. Wimbledon were in the same league as Southend at the time. So did that have any influence in your move? Was there ever any maybe considerations to drop down a division? So obviously you get a bit older at this point. Any considerations to do that?
No, not really. I mean, I had a couple of League One offers that season. I think at Southend I'd done quite well, to be honest. I think I scored 20 goals in 80 appearances. So I had plenty of offers. Wimbledon again was the closest one to home, so it worked out well for me, and I had a great time there.
Out of interest, were Bradford ever in for you?
Yeah, I did speak to Michael Collins, was it?
Yeah, Michael Collins. Yeah,
he was in manager at the time. I spoke to him on the phone quite often, but in the end, it didn't materialise, and yeah, it's a shame. It didn't work out for him up there.
Yeah, I'm a Bradford fan, so I was just genuinely curious, to be honest. Obviously, then with Wimbledon as well, that first year at the club was probably, a crazy year, to be fair. Start off then with the Great Escape, some people are calling it, where Wimbledon survived on the final day by goal difference. As a player who you've not really, to be honest, with Wimbledon, had a terrific season, currently sitting in the relegation zone, managed to escape on the final day. Leading up to that final day, obviously, what is going through your head as a player trying to survive against relegation?
I mean, I was confident. I always felt that we could do it. I mean, after we played Luton, I think three or four games before the end of the season, and just everything was just going right for us. I mean, Aaron Ramsdale probably had the best game he's ever had, and I remember sitting in the changing room after the game thinking we're going to do this, because you just know balls were hitting the crossbar, the post, was clearing them off the line, and we got that last minute equaliser at Luton. It was at that moment precisely when I thought we're gonna do this, and then to hear the final whistle at Bradford, last game of the season, was obviously delightful. We had a great time afterwards as well.
What happens in celebrations then after you managed to stay up on the final day?
Well, we had a party on the coach on the way back, and then I think we was out for 3 days just celebrating. We had a lot of loan players, so I thought we'd have a little party before everyone goes their ways.
Yeah. Could you ever tell when he played for you, obviously Aaron Ramsdale, that he'd eventually go on, or that he had it available to him that he could go on to play in the Premier League?
Yeah, and honestly, I know. I said to my dad, I said, get a bet on him playing for England, because he's definitely going to play for England. I mean, in his first training session, he made probably 3 or 4 of the best saves I've ever seen, and he just had everything. He was good with his feet. He was just obviously a great shot stopper, but also his personality. For how young he was one of the experienced boys in the dressing room. Very vocal, and I think had we not got him, we probably wouldn't have stayed up. He was phenomenal.
Yeah, and another goalkeeper at the club at the time was Tom King. I'm sure you've seen his goal in midweek, last week I think it was now, where he scored from his own box, was it? I'm not too sure. Have you been in touch with him, congratulating him on scoring such a strange
I have,
goal?
I spoke to him. I had him on FaceTime straight afterwards. And to be fair to him, he's got such a massive kick. So I'm surprised that was his first goal, because, like I say, he can boot it. He can boom it really far. We had a bit of banter, because that was the same goal that I scored my first league goal in. So I rang him after the game, and we've now scored first league goals in the same goal.
Okay, all right. You also had in that team Scott Wagstaff, who went viral sort of on social media because he dyed his beard half blue, half yellow. Was there? Obviously you've got a beard yourself. Was there any ever considerations to do that with him?
No, I'm glad I didn't dye mine because I think Waggy got dropped because of that. I think the gaffer weren't too happy with him dyeing his beard. He thought it was a bit silly, so ended up putting him on the bench for the next round against Millwall, which Waggy weren't too happy about.
When did you first see his beard, and what were your first thoughts on it?
I actually was there when he got it done.
Okay.
I was actually in the dressing room getting it done, so yeah, it was. I think a fair play to him. No, he said he was going to do it. He did it, and he kept it for quite a while. So you have to give him a bit of credit. He was true to his word.
Yeah, and of course that season Wimbledon also were very well known for their crazy FA Cup run. Obviously, you beat West. I'm right. I think you beat West Ham on that run.
Yeah, we did. We beat West Ham. Yeah, 4-2.
Yeah, obviously beating a Premier League team. What were your thoughts after that?
Obviously our form going into that game, I think we was having one. But you know, FA Cup's the FA Cup, and on the day anyone could beat anyone. We were just up for it. I think West Ham probably thought they were going to come and have an easy night. And sometimes if you're not up for the fight, you get run over, which is exactly what happened. 2-0 up early on, come out for the second half, another early goal. And yeah, it was a great night. I think probably one of the best nights in the club's history. So nice to be a part of that.
What were your thoughts going towards the Millwall game? Then were you perhaps feeling if you're beating West Ham, you can beat Millwall, or were you just remembering that you're a League One team coming up against a team in a higher division?
Yeah, we knew it was going to be tough because obviously Millwall, big physical team. It was a different type of challenge. But yeah, at that point, I think we was only I think remember the meeting before the game, the manager said we was only, I think it was like 4 or 5 games away from winning the FA Cup. I think he genuinely thought we were going to win it. So that installed a bit of confidence into us. But yeah, unfortunately, we couldn't score and we lost the game 1-0. Although I thought we was the better team, we definitely dominated the game.
Yeah. Moving on to the next season, then was 2019/20 season when obviously the coronavirus hit. Everything kind of went wrong for football from there. As a player who obviously Wimbledon did manage to stay up in the league again, just thanks to points per game and all that. As a player, how did you deal with the coronavirus, like fitness wise?
Yeah, we were just on Strava. There's an app, Strava, where you can track your running and all that. We was doing that, and it's pretty pointless, to be honest. We all knew it. We all knew we weren't gonna be going back. So yeah, it was a strange situation, and obviously for myself and many others at the club, it was a shame because we had to leave and on coronavirus's terms, which was a shame.
And there were a lot of controversy on Twitter as well because a lot of Tranmere fans felt that they should have stayed up rather than Wimbledon. Were you ever worried that maybe it would be Wimbledon that would be decided that they go down over Tranmere, or were you always confident?
No, I was always confident. I did feel something a little bit though. Don't get me wrong, it was harsh. But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. And then obviously you did move on to the National League, which was that a bit of a shock move to you, obviously dropping down 2 divisions?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was injured I think I played 6 games the season before that, so I was injured the whole time. I was injured throughout the whole of pre-season. Yeah, I couldn't go in and train anywhere or anywhere because I physically couldn't run. So as soon as I could, I went to Swindon, trained there for a couple of weeks, got my fitness up, and yeah, Barnet. There was quite a few League Two teams interested, but none that were local. I mean, there's all miles away from home, and I have obviously 3 young kids, so
yeah.
Barnet was local to me, and yeah, hopefully I can. After I've been suspended for 5 games, but hopefully after my suspension's over, can help the team turn their season around.
Yeah. Why did the move to Swindon never actually go through then? Was it just never an offer, or was it something else?
No, I was offered a contract at Swindon. It just wasn't a very good one, and I was negotiating with them to try and get more money, basically. And Richie ended up going to Salford. Richie Wellens ended up leaving, going to Salford. Noel Hunt, who was in temporary charge, offered me a deal as well. But to be honest, I think they were having some financial issues, and yeah, it wasn't a very good offer. So in the end, nothing materialised there. But they let me train with them to get my fitness up, and I have to thank them for that.
Yeah. So how did the move to Barnet actually come around then? Do you have like sort of an agent who just puts your name out there, or did you go out and just use your own contacts to find that club?
I have an agent who Barnet contacted. I mean, I think I spoke to the Yeovil manager. I spoke to Ian Holloway when he was at Grimsby. Carl, I spoke to them, but like I said, it's really far away, and with 3 young kids, Barnet was ideal for me, and obviously the facilities and everything they've got there, they shouldn't be in that league, which they are obviously bottom of the league. They'll be lucky to be in it next year if we don't pick things up, but it is a big club for that division, and they shouldn't really be there.
Yeah. Is there any players currently at the club that you've been impressed with who you think could possibly play at a higher level?
Efron Mason Clark. I've been impressed with him. He's only a young boy, a winger. He's got loads of ability. And also there's a young striker there, Josh Walker, who's been injured quite a lot, but from what I've seen of him in training, he's lively. Yeah.
And what's it actually like being managed by Tim Fowler's, who I believe is it won the World? Did he win the World Cup, something like that? No, that's not right. That's completely wrong. Played for England though. What's it like?
He won the Premier League. He's really good, to be honest. He's come in. He's a bit ruthless. Played the complete opposite of what we had before under Beadle. Beadle, I nearly called him Jeremy then. He's obviously been there and done it, Tim has, and he's very organised. He worked under AD Boothroyd, who I've worked under before, so a lot of the stuff he does is pretty similar to him. But so far, so good. Just the only thing we need to pick up on is results. We're doing everything right on the training pitch. We just need to get some results and climb the table.
Yeah. And out of interest, what did you get a 5-match suspension for?
I got sent off. I got 3 games for a red card, and then I got an extra 2 games for basically giving the ref a little bit of abuse.
It happens. Yeah. And also, I've noticed something about Wikipedia and things like that. Each year, every club, you seem to be number 40. What's the thinking behind being number 40?
To be honest, when I went to Wimbledon, there wasn't many numbers available. And my brother passed away when he was 40 years old, so I thought I'd wear number 40, and it's just stuck now. When you sign late for a club, there's never any decent numbers available, so just take number 40. I don't think anyone's ever too fussed about number 40, so that's always available.
Yeah. And of course, this is completely fine if you don't want to talk about this, because I didn't know that happened. I would have asked you before the podcast, but with your brother unfortunately passing away, how did that affect your mindset going into the game or going into football?
It was difficult. I mean, I was at Southend at the time, and that was the season. That was the season Phil Brown got the sack. Well, it was around the same time Phil Brown got the sack. I wasn't playing particularly well, to be honest, for probably 3 or 4 weeks, and Phil Brown ended up losing his job, and I ended up getting an injury. And it was just a horrible time. I think I hit my calf, so I was out for 6 to 8 weeks. Chris Powell had just come in. I was injured for the whole start of his period, and it was a tough time, to be honest.
Yeah. Do you feel as if mental health amongst footballers needs to be raised as more of a concern?
Not too sure, to be honest. I mean, everyone has down days, and everyone finds it difficult. But I mean, with my own personal problems that I had when my brother passed away, I mean, there was loads of people I could go and speak to. Funnily enough, the person that was probably there for me the most was Ben Clarkson, the physio at Southend. Being injured at the time, I spent a lot of time with him, and he sent me to go and talk to someone, which was really helpful. But yeah, I can only talk from my own personal experience. It was really good for me. Ben Clarkson was.
Yeah. And we'll move on to then who you support. Arsenal, of course. Just saying, Martin, all the guys, what's your thoughts on the season so far?
Yeah, it's been a tough season, been a tricky one. I mean, Aubameyang deciding that contract, don't look like he can score a goal. Been impressed with the young guys. It's been nice to see like Smith Rowe and Saka and the likes of them come through. Looking forward to seeing more of them, and hopefully there's a few more out of that. Bellingham, I've seen a few clips of him playing for the 23s. He looks like he's going to come through soon. So it's nice to see the young boys getting a chance. I'm looking forward to seeing more of them.
Yeah, definitely. Are you a Mikel Arteta in person or a Mikel Arteta out?
No, I like Mikel Arteta. I think he's good. Obviously, he needs time. Be interesting to see what he does at the end of the season, who can get in and have a proper go. But you know what it's like as a manager. If they're not achieving, they normally don't get the time to get things right.
Were you, obviously as an Arsenal fan, you're not gonna like Chelsea. But were you surprised to see Frank Lampard given the boot, or did you think he deserved more time?
Yeah, no, I thought that was harsh, to be honest. I thought he'd done a decent job there again with young players. The transfer ban he had. Was it last season or season? Yeah, last season, wasn't it? Where he couldn't sign no one. Was it season before? So I thought he'd done a good job then, and I thought it was a harsh one, to be honest.
Yeah, and obviously then the sort of last thing, briefly to discuss with you before. What happened then at the FA Cup final 2018 or 17, something like that? Where you managed to step on glass?
Yeah, was it the cup final, FA Cup final, Arsenal Chelsea? My mates, I think that my mate had them little bottles of wine. He was drinking out of one of them little bottles of wine, and when we scored, I think it was Ramsey. Ramsey scored the winner, didn't he? Yeah, I jumped on the chair, and as I landed, the glass went through my trainer, went through my foot. So I ended up going from FA Cup final to the hospital.
How did you explain it to who were you playing for at the time?
I was playing for Southend then. I remember going into the hospital and they were like, "Yeah, you've got glass in your foot. We need to operate to get it out." I had to ring Clarkson and explain to him what had happened. He wasn't very happy at all.
Well, yeah, I think that's going to bring. Wait, sorry, did Arsenal win the FA Cup?
Yeah, Arsenal won that game 2-1.
At least. Well then. That's going to bring an end to this episode of the Benchwarmers Podcast. I'd like to thank my guest for today, Anthony Wordsworth.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. I enjoyed it. And we'll see you all next week.